Welcome to another video in our series on the Red Sea Reefer 170. I'm Dave, and finally today we're going to add our first corals into this aquarium. It's been well over a month, we've tested our levels, we've adjusted them, and now all the levels are within the desired range, so we're ready to add our first tester corals into the tank. Now I've selected a number of frags here, but what we're going to do is actually do a dip on them first. So we use a Revive Coral Dip, and this requires 4 capfuls per gallon. So we have a gallon of water from our aquarium, and I'm going to put 4 capfuls in there. Now it's a good idea obviously to acclimate your corals to the aquarium water first before you do a dip. So what we've done is we've already acclimated our corals here to the water of this aquarium by slowly dripping them over the course of about 15 minutes. And then this water is also water from the aquarium itself. We're using that to create the dip. So we're not shocking the corals at all by switching them from this water because they're already acclimated into the water of this tank. So now we're going to place the corals in the dip solution. Usually you want to leave them in there about 2 to 3 minutes and then use the turkey baster to start blowing jets of water on them. You're going to observe for any parasites coming off of the coral. You always want to inspect the corals closely, make sure there's no nuisance algae or anything that you do not want to introduce into your tank. So these corals are from our farming system. They've already been well quarantined here at the shop, but I want to show you how to dip corals, how to inspect them. So as you dip the coral, you just want to look at it closely, observe it, and blow jets of water gently against it to dislodge any parasites that may be on it. You can also use a toothbrush to scrub frag plugs, to scrub off any nuisance algae. And with zoanthids, it's actually good and beneficial that they're closed up when you're dipping them. That way you can inspect and see between the polyps, looking for any zoanthid eating nudibranchs or zoanthid spiders. The main thing is just to take your time and observe closely what you're doing. Best way to do it is just get your eyes in there and really look at the coral. For acropores, we're looking for any red bugs, acropora eating flatworms. You can observe for bite marks as well. That can be a telltale sign of parasites. But I don't see anything coming off of these. These corals have been fully quarantined, and now we've dipped them again just as a precaution. So now we're finally ready to move them back into this water. We don't want to leave them in the dip more than probably 4, 5, 6 minutes the longest. We'll move them back into this water, and then I'll show you how to mount them into the aquarium itself. Alright, so the first frag we're going to mount into the tank is a frag of pink zipper zoanthids. I'm going to blot the bottom of the frag plug dry. Not 100% necessary, but it does help. I'm going to put the glue on the bottom of it and then dip that under the water just for a second. You'll notice that the glue gets kind of a hazy look to it. And then you'll use a toothpick or something to stir up that glue. That helps to activate it and make it extra tacky, so it'll be easier to mount when you get it inside the aquarium. So let's go ahead now and show you how we put it into the tank itself. Alright, so I've chosen a spot lower down on this rock for these pink zipper zoanthids. It's good to kind of smear that glue around on the rock a little bit. I was definitely generous and put plenty of glue on there, but guarantee you it's going to stick. But you want to smear it around, get that glue activated. Just drag it around the rock and make sure that you're getting good contact with the live rock. And then hold it in place for just a second, and you can take your hand and notice that that plug is well situated. It's definitely secured to the rock. Now you notice the white around the edges of this frag plug. I actually use frag cutters to trim that, to give it an odd shape instead of having a round disc elevated here. That way as these zoanthids grow out, it's going to be a much more natural shape. It'll look a lot prettier. So let's go ahead and move on to our next frag here, which will be the Jack-o'-lantern Leptocerus. Alright, now we're going to mount the Jack-o'-lantern Leptocerus. We've selected an area in the back of the tank with much lower light, as this coral does not like a ton of light. And again, we're going to wiggle it around in that spot, get the glue tacky, make sure that we're having good contact between the frag plug and the rock. And there you have it mounted there. And one thing we can actually do with this coral as well, since it's an encrusting coral, is come back later, we may add a little bit of putty around it to help so that as it grows off the plug, it looks more natural. But you see I did trim this frag plug as well, so we don't have a perfect circle. That'll help it blend in better into the aquarium. Let's go ahead to our next coral. We're going to mount the Acropora tenuis into the tank. Our next coral is the Acropora tenuis. I'm going to put that right into this hole here. I'm going to take it in and out a few times, smearing that glue around. Try not to be too messy with it, but just get it, wiggle it a little bit, get it to sit nicely in there. And you'll see that that'll sit beautifully up on that rock, right under the light, high flow, high light. That should be a beautiful spot for that coral. Let's go to our next piece, be the Mojito zoanthids. All right, now we're going to mount the Mojito zoanthids into the tank. Try to find them a nice spot on our zoo rock here. Sometimes it can be useful to use tweezers. Also, hopefully gives you guys a better view of what we're doing here. But just got to wiggle the frag around, make sure that glue gets tacky and activated. There. Feel now that that's mounted very well into the tank. Now let's go ahead and mount our neon spaghetti leather coral. All right, now we're going to mount our neon green spaghetti leather coral right here on this ledge. Again, trying to show you what we're doing here, but there we got it in place. You'll see that'll grow out beautifully, cover the frag plug, and should really flow very nicely. It'll have a nice moderate current there once we get our MP10 going. And let's go ahead and mount a chalice coral into the aquarium. All right, now we're going to mount the chalice coral just right here. Nice little frag. They're real light, so they're real easy to get them to stick. Definitely tweezers can be useful when you're placing it first, but that will encrust over the rock beautifully in that area. Now the final piece will mount some mushrooms into the aquarium. All right, now we're going to mount our psychedelic mushroom into the aquarium, right down this ledge here. Sometimes the glue wants to get on the frag plug or on the tweezers. You can just got to make a little bit of contact with lightweight frags such as this. Just a little contact with the glue. Be patient, let it dry, and it'll set up very nicely. So that should grow into a beautiful mushroom colony in months and years to come.